Anime is super hard to recommend to anyone, but why is that? With anime trending more than it ever has before, why does it feel so hard to recommend anime to people? Even just sitting down to watch the shows that before brought us so much joy has become a task. It shouldn't be this way, right? I'm here to try my best to explain my point of view, so let's hope I'm not going to find out just how out of touch I am once I start reading comments saying that I'm completely wrong and should have kept my opinion to myself if it's this bad. Not that that would ever happen, right? So, let's hop right into the deep end. Anime as a form of media is something I never truly understood growing up, if I'm honest. I didn't really get why this insert copy-paste protagonist was being led through the most outrageous scenarios, while the only explanation was that he had to become the king of the Hokage pirates to achieve enlightenment with the friends he made along the way. These 2D drawings seemed to capture the attention of so few people that I knew of, but those it did kept them hooked on it. And all I could ask was, why is that? I really didn't get the appeal at all. Anytime I ever thought about anime, or even when I was told about it, all that was ever shown was this cartoon that seemed to be made for people who really like certain aspects of the plot that other shows just didn't seem to have or show. Then, on the complete opposite spectrum, there were these crazy looking people with bodies that rivaled the literal gods they were fighting against. Also, why were these gods trying to wipe us out anyways? Actually, you know what? Never mind. I kinda get it now. There are a lot of reasons that I personally never got into anime for years, even though it became one of the most serotonin-inducing products I've ever experienced. I mean, there's few things better than those moments where all the pieces line up perfectly at the end of an anime. Traitors are revealed, the all-powerful hero is put into a life or death situation, characters' morals are questioned, and more. Despite all these things, you just don't see any of this without experiencing it for yourself. I mean, most people only ever actually give anime a chance because someone else made them by any means necessary, and even then it takes something really eye-gripping to make someone ignore all of anime's red flags, especially to someone who's not used to the media. For the longest time, my favorite show in general was Food Wars. Yeah, that one. I felt so hungry after seeing every single one of Soma's dishes. It had a grip on me like no other at the time. Although, anyone who's familiar with the show understands that this isn't something you'd have a very easy time recommending to someone. As if the idea of talking to someone wasn't already making me consider fleeing the country. It gets worse once I try sharing my love for this particular show. Imagine having to explain to someone that my favorite show is basically Hell's Kitchen, except instead of Gordon Ramsay telling me that America is invading my plate, it's just teenagers who like food a little bit too much. This really isn't something that's easy to recommend to anyone, but the feeling you get as you watch these characters sends shivers down your spine as you wonder what will happen next. You really have to experience it for yourself. Trust me. This show, being what I began to enjoy, really put me in an awkward place because growing up liking anime was already seen as weird, nerdy, and possibly perverted as well. So the idea that the show I liked actually was all these things really sucked. We all have to admit that these scenes as teenagers were probably what drew us in the first place, and they honestly aren't always very comfortable to watch, especially with someone else with you. We can make the argument that these girls are all losing their clothes so that we can understand the true craziness that this plate of food tastes like, but I feel there are other ways to express pleasure without doing all that. Even though I might be clowning on this particular show a little bit, it is far from the only example. There are so many anime, especially nowadays, that have uninteresting, overly sexualized girls that their only personality trait is their assets. Maybe I'm the weird one, but I honestly love a show where you go into it and think, wow, I love these characters, nobody feels out of place, we're here to fill a trope quota, or even just to be used to lure in horny weebs who think this is how people really act. I might be getting off topic here, but the reasons I find anime hard to recommend to people are actually the same ones that stopped me from entering the anime space earlier. I made fun of one of my friends who tried to introduce me to anime about it for months, calling it weird, cartoonish, too porn-like, everything that once I grew to love anime. After giving it a chance, I was then afraid to hear the same comments about the things I loved. I wish that I wasn't so openly negative about it without giving it a try, because looking back, that's something I could have shared with that person, and I really regret it. I honestly feel that without anyone noticing, anime really brought people together. Obviously, there are the exceptions, with incel culture taking such a huge step forward in society. People will often think of anime fans as part of that category. While I'm not ignorant enough to believe there aren't people like that in the community, I really think that there is so much good that came from the media. Conventions, for an example. Groups of hundreds of people all lining up to buy their favorite anime products, join in to cosplay their favorite characters, and just meet people who share in the things they love. I'll get into the good and bad of conventions in another video, I'm sure, but the idea I'm here to press on is friendship. Wait, no, don't click off, I can explain. I think as humans we're naturally drawn to groups, and the fact is that anime culture has grown so large, especially in recent years with VTubing, all the streaming giants picking up anime projects or even making their own originals. On top of everything else, there are these social media apps showing you the latest awesome highlights every couple of scrolls. With all this, it makes it really hard to say that anime hasn't impacted an insane amount of people, and even become a phrase people who aren't familiar with the media don't seem to hate as much as before. All that being said, finding people who can connect with you on an emotional level is amazing. Being able to talk about the things you love with each other builds friendships, relationships, and more. Slowly but surely, we've become able to share the things we love with people, and I believe that's something beautiful. After giving anime a chance, I found out not only was it something I loved, but the more stories I picked up, the more I lost myself in worlds that weren't my own. But they felt made for me. I'm sure most of you have picked up a book, watched a TV show, and thought similarly, but the visual representation that some anime and manga have goes beyond anything my own imagination could come up with. Beforehand, I'd never have dreamt about worlds of magic, dragons, and warriors the way anime had made me. We've all had that feeling before. It's normal for us to look at the media and wish for more. So let me ask you, what world would you want to be part of? It doesn't necessarily have to be an anime. I'm just curious as to what experiences others have had with this feeling I can't seem to let go of. Considering all this, I can understand why anime really isn't easy to get into, but the feelings you get are more than worth it. I know I wouldn't be the person I am today without all these experiences the media has left me with. And if you're currently on the fence about getting into it yourself, or need a push to show a friend, I hope this video helps you. If you liked the video, I'd really appreciate it if you considered subscribing. I'm new to this, but I hope I can continue to learn and share my thoughts with everyone. Thank you.